Alright, so it's been a few weeks since I initially posted the video about doing all-wheel drive in my S10. And it's not just all-wheel drive, it's a VR6 Turbo in an S10 that is, or will be, all-wheel drive. So as you can see from the drawings earlier in this video, I've spent a lot of time doing sketching, figuring out some things, deciding how best to do this so I don't make that many mistakes and or have to redo things. That would drive me crazy, and I don't want to have to do things twice. So what I've been doing is drafting a lot of things and thinking through it, figuring out, as I mentioned, the best way to do this. And what you can see here is the product of that. So there's a big frame table underneath. So that took a few weekends to put together. My friend Andrew came over and helped me cut some of the poles. We welded them on, and then I was able to flip the table back over because I built it with the legs upright. So that was a whole thing I probably should have videoed and shared. But once that table was built, then I had to build what I call the subframe table. So there is the main frame table that has to be leveled yet. But then there is a subframe table, which goes on top of the frame table. This was built underneath the Touareg outside. So I cut all the tubing, measured everything out. Let me grab one of these things. You can see this. I built what I call the stanchions. So it was a 3/16 plate on the top with like a 5/8 hole. And then I think I made them either a foot or 18 inches long per piece, and I made one for every spot on the subframe that had to get a bolt through it to hold it into the Touareg. So after doing that, I took a laser level, put it in the center of the Touareg, which is clearly not here, and created a datum. So I was able to use that plane or that laser datum to then measure from every subframe bolt or location down to that laser point. And that helped me understand how long these stanchions needed to be, but additionally how to make sure that everything was like level in the truck. And then when I built the subframe table underneath and pulled it out, that everything sat where it was supposed to sit relative to how the truck was built. So what we ended up doing, my brother came down and he helped me finish this subframe table because I had like two points which I had to make stanchions for the trans cross member. But additionally, he helped me pull the subframes out today, and we were able to get the subframe table rested on the actual frame table itself, as well as getting the subframes inside the garage on the table. So let me move the camera and I'll show you more. Okay, so now that we have the camera moved, you can see this is the front section. Same sort of idea as the back. It has all the stanchions. These are the ones that this has to get finish welded. That one is for the cross member that I'm going to build a brand new cross member. I'm not going to use the Touareg one because the Touareg one has a slight angle where it bolts into the truck. So that tube over there actually is the other cross member piece. It's slightly off 90, which bothered me now that I put this one on 90. So when I make the whole thing, I'm going to cut that other tube back off, square it up, similar to this one, and then I'll build my own cross member. So not a big deal there, but just have to do a little bit of rework. But you can see the subframe table as well as the frame table. Like I said, it has to still be leveled. But all of the locations, when I took the subframe table out from underneath the truck with my brother today, and then put it on top of this frame table, and then we put the subframes back on top of the subframe table, they all fit right where they're supposed to go. We didn't have any crazy warping or movement, which was great. And when you square up the rear bolt locations to the rear bolt locations, you do the X pattern as well as linear measurements. They all check out. And then from a level standpoint, like I said, I still have to level the frame table, but all of these stanchions essentially were measured from that datum. So I know that everything is true relative to, well, at least how that Touareg was built. So, like I said, I used a laser, beamed it in the middle of the truck, front and rear, took the tape measure, went down to, the laser point, and then to the mount. So I knew exactly the distance here on the front subframe, rear section, same thing with the front section of the front subframe, did the same exact thing in the back. That way I know, like, all of these bars that are resting on the frame table were where they need to be, and I knew that the subframe would be square and level when I put it on top of the actual frame table. So this is really the beginning of the whole project. One of the biggest pieces, just to make sure I have a solid square base to go from. And as you can see, I mean, I'm using everything from the Touareg. I have the complete subframe, front differential, cross members, the brakes, rotors, suspension. I have to make, top hats for the suspension members, but we'll get to that when I start building the frame. And then if we go to the back section, similar thing. I'm using the Touareg rear diff, all the axles, all the suspension members, brakes, rotors, the whole thing. The e-brake cables, unfortunately, we for the sake of time, we just chopped them today. So that kind of sucks because I'm going to have to repurchase those to have the e-brake in the S10. But no big deal. It's for the sake, I'd rather just save the time and get this stuff moving along. But pretty happy with the progress. It's taken some time, taken a lot of thought, but I think a lot of that planning came out great. It just looks exactly as I sort of envisioned it in my mind, and then as I drew it on paper. And to see the subframe table rest on the actual frame table itself, as well as the subframes then getting placed back on top of it and everything lining up and being square, I couldn't have asked for much more. It turned out great. So I have a couple more things to do. For instance, this engine mount bracket that usually bolts to the bottom of the truck. I have to make a special one here because it goes through the actual control arm. And the tubing that I use, 2x2 tubing, is too big for the hole through there, and I need to be able to pull the subframe off without doing anything janky here to get it on or off. So I gotta finish that one, finish weld this thing, and then level the table, and then finish weld the subframe table to the actual frame table, so that I know that that's not going anywhere, and then get the engine and tranny in here with the driveline in, and then I can start. Well, I actually have to finish the CAD model of the frame, which hopefully I can show in the next couple weeks, and then order the material and start actually laying frame tubing. And some may think, well, this table is really high. That's kind of crazy. It looks a little high, but I think based on all the measurements and being able to work standing up versus hunched over, crouched, or on my knees all the time is going to be far better for this project. So I'm really happy with this progress. I'm very appreciative of my brother and my friend Andrew, who came to help me do some of this work. And yeah, looking forward to sharing the next update. I would hope that the engine transmission would be placed in here, as well as the drive shaft, and then I can start laying some frame tubing. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.